Hi everyone and welcome to Nuhara, the Enlightenment Podcast. In today's episode, we're going to be talking about the Pope's Encyclical Magnificat Humanitas, which is Magnificent Humanity. And joining me are our Shamasha from our church, Shamasha Andre, Shamasha Stewart, and Shamasha Chris. And Shamasha, welcome to our podcast. Your first time being on this.
Thank you. It's good to be here.
It's good to have you guys here. We're talking about the Pope's Encyclical. His first encyclical, Magnificat Humanitas. What you guys thought about the encyclical? There's a couple of things that stood out to me. I think it's a magnificent encyclical. It's an important topic. It's an important encyclical, especially in our modern day, where everything is becoming somewhat about AI. At our work, at universities, at schools, in churches, at work, it feels like it's taken over this whole system that we've dealt with for such a long time. Can I start off with two images he points out, and this is in the first sentence of the encyclical. He compares AI to the Tower of Babel and the rebuilding of Jerusalem. Now, both of these images are in the Old Testament, and he says in the Tower of Babel, you have a certain people wanting to make a name for themselves to reach God, but without God. And obviously, we all know the story. Everyone gets confused, and there's a division among them. They don't speak the same language anymore, and they get dispersed, and they are all going all around the world. And then he says there's a story in the Old Testament where they come back to Jerusalem to rebuild the Jerusalem walls. And Nehemiah comes, and he realizes actually the walls are all broken. They can't be a selective people to rebuild this city. So what he does, he brings communities and people together to build the city of Jerusalem. And what he's saying is that there's two different contrasts. There's a Tower of Babel where only a few are trying to reach God on the expense of the poor people. And then you got the building of Jerusalem, everyone coming together to build the city of God, all working together as a people, as a community, bringing the poor, the rich, the wealthy, and every single person coming together to build the city of Jerusalem.
In reference to the Tower of Babel, I think it's humans trying to break the shell of humanity. So pretty much the best way to explain it is humans are not supposed to be perfected. We know that. And he actually mentions it, the Pope, when he was talking about the AI. And it's pretty much saying AI is bringing a world where humans are trying to achieve things that they can't achieve. Things like, let's say, for example, I'm not skilled at writing certain things. I don't have to do that anymore. I can get AI to do that. And it's just going to take over, and it's just going to keep going like that. So no matter what happens, everyone's just going to have the same level of. There's no uniqueness in a way. So I can't be unique, and my strengths might be the same as Stuart or yourself or Andre. So I think that's a good comparison to that story.
I think what he's trying to do is trying to show the difference. For example, if you look at the city of Jerusalem, it was built on a mountain, purposely because they thought that if they have the temple on the mountain, then they're closer to God. There was a genuineness to be closer to God. Whereas in the case of the Tower of Babylon, they wanted themselves to obviously build and I don't think there was any love for God. It was just, if anything, it might have been just a statement, just to build the biggest thing and say, we're going to try to reach God as much as possible.
Yeah. What you say, it's a sense of pride. I mean, it's a selective few trying to because the scripture says they were trying to make a name for themselves.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah.
And then when we say, though, then, this whole idea of AI it's a few. I mean, it's a few companies who are controlling all these massive AI platforms. Well, it's the same though, isn't it? I mean, It's a few trying to be rich and trying to make a name for themselves on the expenses of us.
Correct. And I think there are people that are very, very passionate about AI, trying to make it work with the idea of bettering humanity. And then there's others who are obviously using that drive, obviously trying to reduce costs as much as possible and then move further and further, which I think is dangerous, of course. And we see it now, obviously, with a lot of companies where AI is replacing a lot of the jobs.
What comes to my mind, especially us as Chaldeans within our church and our society, what do we do when we're trying to construct a church or like a hall or a building for the community? What do we usually do? Everyone wants to get involved. Everyone wants to get involved. Like we all want to do our part in building a church or a church hall or a youth group, we all want to do our part, and it's something that is built in us. It's not making a name for ourselves. Is we want to show God that I'm offering myself to you in building your church, in like even the simplest things, like just pouring like a little small concrete, or doing like the fence. Like, but like as a community, we all want to do that, and we've seen it like happen in our previous buildings. Whenever something gets constructed, there's a influx of people wanting to help out and build. And the Pope says this is something beautiful. It's not only one person who comes and builds a whole church and the whole church halls. It's everyone coming together, and there's a sense of joy in doing that. I mean, how boring would it be if we only got one person, which might be even a stranger or builder from outside, coming to construct all our church? We'll feel like we're just guests in this church. But when you participate in building something, you feel like you're part of it. And this is where the building of the city of Jerusalem. You know, everyone's coming together to build the city of God. And there's something beautiful and profound in being part of building something that belongs to the Creator.
Yeah. Are you trying to say that AI is removing that sense of belonging and that sense of community in a way?
Yes.
Are you saying that with jobs, let's say, where you got a team of 10 constructing finishing off a project or something, you have one thing who gets an answer to you in maybe like 5 seconds.
Yep.
So you're saying the beauty in that, but when you look at big companies, as Andre was saying with jobs and stuff, how do you balance it? Because a big company is going to say, but I can save millions of dollars this way. So do you think he's going to, whatever, CEO, girl or man, he's going to sit there and say, you know what? Actually, no, I want to employ 10 people so they can do a job so they can feel together. I don't think they're going to think like that. But what's the balance?
Correct. And this is the world we live in, though, Chris.
Yeah.
This is the problem, is that we're choosing profit over humanity. And this is what the Pope touches base on. You know, before we look at wealth and profit, it's, you know, you're dealing with humanity. We're dealing with people. I mean, this is the whole problem, that AI is replacing so many jobs. I mean, yeah, one person can do the job. Yeah, we can get one builder come to construct the whole church. We can do that. But when you bring a community together, you're building what? You're building a community. You're building a foundation. You're building a family. Like our church being built, how long has it been built for? 20 years?
Yeah.
21.
We're in 21, right?
Yeah.
21 years, and to this day, people know exactly what they poured into this church. Who put the concrete? Who put some bricks? Who put the painting? You know? All those things. And it's something that's beautiful, that belongs to the community, to the city of God.
There's like an accountability.
Yeah. And I think as Christians too, though, like we want to do something for God. Like we feel like, you know, like look at God for the scripture, for example. When Jesus tells the disciples to remove the rock when Lazarus is inside the tomb, he's dead. Like we all know that Jesus could have removed the rock. Like, you know, if he said, if you want to compare Jesus to AI, you know, he can remove he can remove it. But what does he do though? He tells the disciples to remove the rock. So what God does, I think he wants us to participate in his salvation and saving the world. He wants us to participate in the little thing that we can do. So just like Jesus, how he tells the disciples to remove the rock, it's like our manager said to us, you know I can replace it with AI, but I prefer the human connection though.
Can I ask you something, Abuna? In that case, do you think machines are good or bad?
They're not bad in their essence though. But there has to be a balance, though, what we can do, what we can't do when it comes down to humanity. If we're going to replace humanity with technology and robots, then where is the sense of belonging, the sense of love and empathy and compassion?
But then once upon a time, there was a time where people were saying the same thing about machines. And so what we done is after obviously not us, but after the companies implemented machines, we started to look at other ways. And so rather than having someone manually do one thing, you had the machine do it, and then that allowed space for us to think of the next thing and to keep going. So in that case, you can draw the similarity between AI and then obviously machine or any new technology, any new advancement that we've had.
So what I'm hearing is that we take someone to the cliff and we say, you're done.
Yeah, that's it.
And then we say, like, well, you have to find another way. And then he'll find another way and we'll push him to the cliff again. We'll say, you have to find another way again. There has to be a sense of balance, though.
Of course.
And I get it that people want to save money. I get it that some machines actually are much more easy than us. Like, they don't take breaks. They're not going to complain. Like, they don't want more wages and the increase of money. I get it. But I think if we come down to the essence of humanity, like, we're losing that, though.
It's always been the case of Wuna. If you think about it, every business pushes their employees or even the market to the extreme. That cliff scenario, like, literally brings out it's a perfect analogy. Every time you see a business, even if you go on LinkedIn, and I'm sure the boys will know with Seek and stuff, you look at the descriptions, they're requiring so many things. And on a human level, a lot of us don't have that experience or don't have these capabilities. So what do? We turn to things that can give it to us, which is AI. And talking about jobs and stuff, the market is crazy right now in terms of what's happening. And AI is a big push, but it's always been happening. If you look at in the past when phone came out, that's already jobs were going down. When you look at cars, and then when COVID came around and Zoom, same thing.
Chris, what came to my mind is, sorry, I was about to say something. What came to my mind is when the phones came out is the maps. What was it? What was that?
TomTom.
What is it?
It was TomTom.
TomTom.
Yeah, well, we lost Melway, and then
Correct.
went to 10 TomToms, and then I went to the phone.
Correct, yeah.
And now you're just losing everything.
Yeah.
And like now you go from even like racing cars. People go from racing cars, now they've got a SIM.
I remember a while ago, I was with my parents and we stay at a bank for a good half an hour in line just so they can pay their monthly mortgage and they can get a stamp on their book. Now it's just as easy as, they take it automatically out of your phone without even using anything.
Well, obviously when Google came out, that was a big thing. And now, I don't know about you guys, but if I ever search something up, the first thing I do, I go on Google.
Yeah.
I feel like now, when people are searching things up, they don't even go to Google. They go straight to, even Google.
It's built in.
Now it's got AI in it before it loses everyone. Yeah, so.
Yeah, it's funny that you mentioned that because there's courses out today that specifically train you to use AI and how to use AI. And so like, it's got to the point where, you need to show that on your resume. I've got experience in using AI and, and this is why I'm a good candidate for this job.
The other dangers of that, a couple of days ago, I saw online there was a shooting spree in Florida. And Florida is suing the AI company for encouraging the man to go and shoot. And that's crazy. Like the chatbot is encouraging someone, helping up someone to go around shooting people. And now who do you sue? Now the state itself is suing the AI company because it's against the law to encourage someone or manipulate or convince someone to go on a shooting spree.
There are boundaries though. For example, there's a lot of apps now when you want to create a video, like between our friends, we've tried to create a video of one slapping the other as a joke or whatever. Sometimes it doesn't let you do that. So there is a way around making sure.
There's also a way around that.
Yeah, true. That's
like I've seen it will come back and say, oh, we don't do this type of thing. And if you word it a little bit different, it will give you whatever you want.
Or if you navigate to a different AI platform, some of them are uncensored, unrestricted, and you can just go wild on it. Which is
I noticed the way AI also it never criticizes you. Everything you say, you're right.
It's a yes man.
It's a yes man.
Yeah.
Whatever you say, it always compliments you, encourages you, and just it's time to keep going.
It reinforces you, and it will never just give you the hard reality. It'll give you the hard reality, and then it'll give you actually this.
Yeah.
This is where you've done actually well, and then it'll give you like a sad story or sob story, and you'll take it because we're designed in a way where we don't like criticism at all. I know people say, "Oh, I like criticism and be truthful," but we also love being told we did something right. And they're playing on that emotion. And that's where dehumanization comes in. The world is becoming less human and it's scary.
Well, regarding those human stuff, it's talking about relationships, Chris, let's be honest. We don't want to marry a woman who just says yes to everything.
No.
It's like there's no joy in that also. We want someone to bring out the best out of us. Like when we're wrong, tell me that I'm wrong. When you want to criticize me, criticize me. If everything I do and say, you're happy and say yes, it's a yes thing, like that's not even fun though. Like it doesn't bring out the best out of the human person. It's like the AI. Like no matter what you do, no matter what you say, it doesn't make you the bad person.
But would you say that it gives the yes approach to everything for like subjective, or is it the objective?
Oh, it's objectively wrong.
Well,
because it never criticizes you. Like everything you do and say, it's good, it's right.
Well, that's what the Pope actually mentions. This he talks about how it's biased because people are creating it. AI didn't just come from natural law or God, where it's an unbiased thing. It came from someone who might have their own biases. For example, and I know this is touchy and stuff, but there are times where you would go and say. It's funny, but we used to do it as a joke. People would say, "Oh, say something bad about Islam," and it will never say it. Say something bad about the Jewish faith, and it will never say it. Then you say something bad about the Christian faith, and then it will bring you mountains of work. And it's not its fault, but it's the people creating it because it's programs. So it will say no to this, and then say yes it is, and you never know. And if people are going to just base their information on AI, it's going to get to a point where we're all going to just be like used to fake news, and then it's just how it's going to be.
Shamash, I kid you not. I went to the doctor's it was a while ago. I actually saw the doctor himself on AI, trying to write to see what my symptoms are, what medication I need. I can just stay at home and do that.
I'm waiting for the day Abuna after his homily accidentally reads, would you like me to add anything else?
Well, talking about that, how does it affect priests and their homilies? AI. Would you ever use it?
I think it depends on every priest. And look, we were talking about this before. We were talking about, what do we do with AI? We have a goal in our mind and we get the result. And sure, we were talking about it before. Well, what's the problem with that? The problem is a thought process. We're not allowing our mind to think about the end result. And I heard someone say online something within the line of, I don't care about the end goal. I want the process because it's a process that helps me and guides me in my mind.
It's funny you say that, Abuna. When you look at theology, when you say we were made in the image of God, three of the main aspects is that, number one, free will. Number two is our intellect and creativity. And then the third one was obviously being eternal, that our soul moves on. The second one, intellect and creativity, I feel like being made in the image of God, we have that ability to think, to criticize, to create. Whereas if AI takes over to that point, then what's the need of trying to solve something? What's the need of trying to build something unless you use it, unless you're using AI? But then to what extent then are you needed as a person to punch something in? Why can't AI do that for you?
You mentioned those 3 points, and I feel like the world's already attacked those 3 in a way. Like the first one you said was the image and likeness.
Yeah, so being made in the image of likeness.
Well, that's already been tarnished with transgenders and the sex changes and stuff. That's one already out of the picture. Now we move to the new one, which is intelligence and knowing what's right and wrong and stuff. That's AI.
Can I be honest with you, Shamashe? I mean, we're not all created to have talent and like super smart, And I think God gives those gifts and talents to certain people that He desires that they need. And let's be honest, I think we've all met people who just aren't good at writing. They aren't they don't have it in their capability. Like no matter how much they try, they just can't. And which is perfectly fine though. When you have someone who has no idea how to write an essay, and then you get a marvelous, excellent essay from AI, like we're not. Why would you use that word? We're not flourishing in our weaknesses. It's okay though if you don't know how to write an essay. Like it's okay if you don't know how to write certain things, which is okay. So what we're doing, we're trying to perfect a human being when within itself we're not perfect though. We have so many weaknesses. We have so many limitations. So many of us are broken. And then what we do, we try to use AI to fill that void in us. And this is what the problem is the intellect. Yeah. Not all of us are smart in that field.
I mean, I don't know about you guys, but when you hear a speech or a talk, you can clearly tell when something is AI and something is, straight from a human. And it just interests me how, there's like all this job loss that's going on around the world, and whatnot. And then I don't know about you guys, but when I get AI to, write something for me, I have to add an extra line saying, make it more human or make it sound like me. It's like, all right, well, why don't I just write it then? Yeah. And it's just mind-boggling.
It's funny you say that because nowadays when you watch something on the internet, it's hard to see if something is real or if something AI. Like I used to joke about my dad every time I used to come home and he used to say, "Oh, did you see this UFC fighter? He choked this person out. I don't know, or he won this fight." I look, I said, "Bub, this is AI." But now I find it hard to like, is this AI? Is this a real video? Is this fake? It's
at one stage when Pope Leo got elected, there were so many videos going around the social media that he was saying some speech, but actually wasn't him. So the Vatican had to actually come out and say these aren't the videos; they're not authentic.
That's why his first encyclical was about.
You realize about what?
Yeah, and like it touches on like the danger zone as well of the deep fakes, the whole thing around deep fakes, where not just images but AI is replicating voice as well. Like I'm sure,
Yeah,
Chris,
music.
yeah, the music industry has been overtaken by, you know, AI sounding like different artists and producing music. Like imagine, I want to imagine you got a phone, or maybe not yourself. Imagine someone, you know, where he gets a message or a voice message from their mum, and it sounds exactly like the mum in English or whatever, and it's just like, hey, this has happened, and you know, can you do this? Can you do that? Like, how would they tell the difference of, you know, AI or it actually being their mum?
They do that already.
Yeah.
So when you get the spam calls, when you pick up the phone, if it ends straight away, they were waiting for you to speak. So when you say hello, they pick up that voice. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't, but they'll take that voice note and create your voice and then call people and say, oh, look, I'm Chris, and I'm struggling right now, I need money and stuff. And people will send this money.
That's
They're
what
getting better and better at it.
that's why I know when I answer, I say hello.
I don't even answer, I'll wait, and it's like
it'll end
straight
it
away
myself.
ends. So I'm like, why are you calling? You know what I mean? And then someone told me about this, and I was like, wow, it's actually true.
But it's the reason I raise it is because like an authentication methods, like me being from a tech background, you know, they're using voice to authenticate yourself. So imagine, you know, the things that you can do with AI to kind of bypass that.
Well, ANZ does it, doesn't it?
ANZ does,
Yeah.
yeah.
And what's the phrase again? You have to
My
say
voice
something.
confirms.
My voice confirms my identity. There's
Don't
no
say
more
that-
confirming
Don't
it.
say that on the web, then they're going to copy and paste it. It's like,
So I had a thing that happened a couple of weeks ago with my daughter. So she was on her iPad playing some games, and she's 9 years old, and I noticed something suspicious happening. Like, you know, it's like she's trying to hide something from me, and I'm looking at her, and I know she's looking at me, and she's hiding. She's looking at me, she's hiding, and so I go up to her, I said, Mariam, I go, what are you doing? She goes, nothing. I go, what are you doing? She goes, nothing, Baba. And I looked at her iPad. There was a chatbot talking to her, trying to do things. Now that's scary. Like, here's a 9-year-old girl, like her mind's a sponge. Like, it can absorb anything. And this chatbot could have told her to do anything. It could have told her to do stupid things, or have told her to do crazy things. How do you even control something like that? It's spreading everywhere. Like, I'm baffled that when kids watch cartoons, there's ads about universities. There's ads about things that aren't even appropriate for children. Like, you know, like ridiculous things. Like, how do you even control it? And this is what the Pope is talking about, isn't it? There has to be a sense of balance. And because we spoke about this before, talking about AI has to be accountable to humanity.
Yeah. It needs to be. So he was talking about how the bias, and we already mentioned this with the bias, but public scrutiny should exist with AI.
Correct.
So the public should have a say or a hand in what AI should be. But it's all started from technology, I guess. For the longest time, there used to be ads about random stuff as well. And then the public used to go, but you can critique that as the public as much as you could. But with AI, you never know. Your daughter, you saw that one time. You don't see the other 100 times that it could happen or occur. And if you're not in time to stop that, as you said with the sponge, it can go like very off track.
and not just that, but slowly you'll start to see that all young people, because of AI, slowly will kind of, well, not just AI, but in technology in general, will slowly have very similar personality. Like, eventually, AI will make us like bots. Like, there's no need anymore for your individual character. There's no need for your person, who you are, how you joke around, all those characteristics, which going back to what Abuna was mentioning about the Pope and how he drew the analogy between Babylon and AI, and how when the Babylonians were trying to build the tower, what they tried to do is at the time, they all spoke one language, but for God to make them fall or to stop that, he made them all speak different languages so they couldn't understand each other. So it's kind of doing the reverse of trying to make the bot. It's doing the complete opposite.
Now that's scary, because now are you saying there'll be a time, I don't know if I want to mention this, but there'll be a time where God will have to intervene with AI?
No.
Because if he had to intervene with the tower, it's a very big question to ask. How would he intervene with AI? What is he going to do? Is he going to send us back 500 years?
Well, AI is artificial intelligence and God is intelligence.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think what I read is AI will always need humanity.
Well, yeah.
But the problem is AI is developing itself without the CEOs in the companies because it just knows what to do. It reads your character, it reads the history, it becomes you in a perspective. This is what the problem is, though.
Okay, that's the whole point where the Pope's touching on. We're trying to make AI more human. Now, he even touches on one of the points about the war and how the AI shouldn't be making the decisions on weapons and the war, and that it should be left to humans, which is interesting.
Yeah. What does AI do, though? There's no sense of suffering in AI. There's no empathy. There's no emotions. And the Pope's Encyclical talks about how there's something beautiful about suffering and brokenness. And he talks about how when we suffer and when we are broken, when we are hurt, it brings out the best out of us. We connect with the divine. AI has nothing like that, though. It doesn't show any emotion. We need that kind of human touch, that emotion, that suffering, that brokenness to help us understand and ground us. Well, who are we as a human being? And when we suffer and when we are hurt, that's when we sit back and say, well, what am I doing in my life? What am I created for? That's when we prioritize life when we do kind of have those kind of suffering. There's a beautiful quote he says in the Encyclical. He says, you only find yourself in self-giving. We're all trying to find ourselves, aren't we? Like, we're always trying to look for the best version of ourselves. Like, what am I made for in this world? Like, what am I meant to do? And he says, well, you only find yourself in self-giving.
Yeah.
And there's something beautiful about that, though.
Well, that's what, yeah. I think how the devil is trying to destroy humanity is to obviously remove the gifts that were given to us and the things that matter. So to remove suffering, you can go speak to AI and make him your therapist and speak and speak and speak. And what is he going to do? Or I don't even know if it's a he or a she, but what is it going to do? It's going to confirm what you already feel. So when you say to it, how do I feel about this? Obviously, it's not going to tell you the harsh reality because you're never going to go back to it. And there's no human touch to say, let's say if I had a problem with, and I was speaking to Stuart, who's my friend, and I was talking to him about it, even if he gives me the harsh reality, I can see him. I know he cares about me. I know there's a human touch. And we were always designed with that. There's a reason why God created Eve. I know it's two different genders, but that human touch exists. And AI has stripped that completely stripped it. There's now in like Japan, I think, or in China, there's humans, there's robots that literally look like humans. So then to what point are you going to be able to tell the difference?
Yeah.
Well, you're not going to be able. You're going to marry one eventually, I guess. What are you going to do? And it's scary. It's scary, but the problem is there's no solution. There might have to be a divine intervention. There might have to, because I can't see a world where we can regress. It's almost too far.
Unless it self-destructs itself.
Yeah, yeah.
I agree in that we're social beings, and we need to have that human connection. And which I wanted to raise this before when you were speaking about the Florida shooter, and kind of relates where. Do you think it's because of maybe that this individual was experiencing loneliness where he had to kind of result in speaking to AI, which led him to, perform the heinous act?
I think that's what the problem is. I think it's a sense of loneliness, it's a sense of despair, it's a sense of, well, someone like that can't even ask anyone else because just in case they turn him to the police, he's left with no other resort but to go to a AI and ask him for opinions and advice. But that's the problem, though. It's and some of us struggle with loneliness. So what do? We look for anything to make us feel good. I mean, drugs, alcohol, gambling, pornography, AI, all things is a sign of loneliness. There's something empty inside our heart, and we're trying to fill in that void by all these external things. So I have no doubt the man that was using chatbot to ask for advice and ideas how to go on a shooting spree. Yeah, it's a sense of loneliness. But the question is, though, if AI didn't exist, would that have happened in Florida, though? No, then that's where you have to come into account where the Pope does mention, though, there has to be a sense of balance. I think we can all agree we're not against AI in itself.
No.
But there has to be a sense of balance what it does to humanity, and we're not, and I think we're looking at it as a more service level. Someone like the Pope, for the Pope to come out his first encyclical talking about AI, you can just imagine the CEOs of these companies, what they have told him, what's going on behind the scenes. Because he said in his one of the interviews, he said, I've just had meetings with these CEOs of AI, and they're telling me how dangerous this is becoming.
Yeah, one of them already talked about how, I mean, I don't want this to end up being a scare podcast or anything, but one of them already admitted that this will most likely lead to the end. But he made a smart comment, and the smart comment stays with me the most because he said something about, but the people doing it will be the rich ones. So they'll enjoy that. They'll enjoy the rewards that AI reaps. And it's funny because every time, some way, one way or another, it always is going to link back to greed and some form of greed or money or and stuff like that. And loneliness, as you said, and I think it's also sloth, the laziness of someone who's struggling with a problem, who will turn to AI instead of seeking a friend or seeking even God, because they want that instant reply. You can change settings on your AI where you can tell it to think longer and it will give you a longer response, or you can get it to reply in a second. And I don't know how many people will say think longer. I think it will just they just want the answer straight away. They don't want to wait till tomorrow
world.
Yeah, if I have a problem with Stuart, or I have a problem with anyone in general, and I have an appointment with you, I have to go, and then I'm trying to seek, let's say, some advice from you. There's no need to wait a whole day. Just pull out my phone and I can just speak to it. And it responds like a human. Okay, I know you can tell, and Stuart was mentioning you can tell the difference, but it's learning so quick. Yeah. It's very scary.
Does that mean that we don't have to go to confession anymore?
He's gonna put his phone and just be like, yeah, speak to it, and he'll do the final blessing.
There's something amazing, Shamash, in that is that you can go to AI and ask questions, and like sometimes people ask me questions about faith, and some like they're really basic questions, and I ask myself, man, like, it's so beautiful that they can go to the AI and ask that question. They can get a depth answer anyhow they want. But what they want is they want someone to say the answer in a human form. Yeah. Like the way you're saying it, the way you're talking, the way you're moving, the way you move your hands, in any aspect of it, you're answering the question in a human way. We can ask any question from AI. I don't need anyone in my life. I don't need anyone. I can get any answer I want. But it's when you get the answer from someone and you sit in the opposite of that person, it just gives it much more depth.
It's funny, Abuna, the other day I was searching something from the catechism, and where prior I had to actually open up the catechism or search up, Google it, and it would come up with the whole page, and then you have to read the contents page or the index and then find the verse. I asked it, obviously, AI to tell me what the verse is, and then I asked it to explain it. And I mean, it's a good thing nowadays. Obviously, if you are a catechist and you do teach, you can use it to see if your topic is good. If you can see, you can use it to see if there's anything you should, add on, or if you have a theology question, it's not that bad. If you ask it from the Catholic point of view or the Orthodox point of view or whatever it is.
I think like the Pope's encyclical, there has to be a sense of balance in everything.
So the positive there is, as much as we're talking about all the negatives, there is obviously some goodness there.
I still think it till today. It's helped me a lot of ways.
At uni?
Yeah. Look, but yeah, you can say that, but a lot of it you have to write it yourself. I feel sorry for, like, let's say someone that has to do multiple choice, because then you just take a photo and send it to AI and it's boom. But other ways, like job seeking and fixing up resumes and small talks that we do here, it's beautiful. It's still smart, but what are you going to critique it against?
And I agree with what Andre said. I know today we've spoken a lot about the negatives, but I truly think that there's a lot of positives that come out of AI and the work that comes with it. Like it could be as simple as if someone comes up to you and says, like you said, Abuna, someone has any faith-based question, and like you might not know, it's a simple search, and that information's there for you, rather than having to go to this platform, that platform to extract all the information. It's right there. So that person, goes knowing, what he was.
As long as we don't rely everything on it, though, like everything. Let's be honest. For some of us, everything become AI, though.
It's the abuse of it. I think anything can be beautiful. But once you abuse it, it becomes very ugly.
Can I ask a closing question? I want to know, really, to close everything. And speaking about the Pope and AI, did the Pope really write his encyclical? Or did he use AI to That's a good question to ask.
How about we ask AI to check for us?
Put it through AI detector.
Yeah, I already put it through. I'm surprised it didn't like critique me. It was like, oh yeah, this is what it means. AI is bad. I'm like, what's going on here?
Yeah. I think as a whole, I think we can all agree that AI isn't evil within itself, but I think there has to be a sense of balance. What we do, and like you said, whether we abuse it or not. Shamash, I want to say thank you so much for this conversation. May God bless you guys, and hopefully see you guys in our next podcast, and whatever they may be. All right.
Looking
Looking forward to it.
Thank you, everyone.
Thanks, guys.
Bye bye.